This episode is sponsored by Tales of Luminaria. Tales of Luminaria is the latest addition to the Tales series, coming straight to your mobile as the newest real-time action-adventure JRPG. If you follow me, you should know that I'm already a massive fan of the Tales franchise, and I was really happy to see its spirit successfully transferred to the mobile platform. This is the closest to a traditional Tales game on your mobile you're gonna get, entering a new world following characters from opposing nations in a grand story reminiscent of any big JRPG. You have the real-time combat, complete with an art system any Tales fan should be familiar with, but on top of that you have a large party of playable characters with their own playstyle and unique story campaigns to play through. And don't think it's the same copy and paste campaign either. You'll be running through forests, traversing battlefields, training up your students or riding monsters depending on whose campaign you choose. And fear not, Gacha fans, you don't even have to roll for characters in this game. You can just play through each character's storyline as and when they are released. I repeat, you do not have to roll for characters, so all you need to do is worry about upgrading their equipment. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download it today and give it a try now. And with that said, let's get on with the video. Anime fans are fucking losers. Well, this video is off to a great start. I'm sure a lot of us weebs who got into anime and manga at an early age had a similar experience when they came to our schools or the kids around us. Some of us may have been ridiculed, some of us may have been told to grow up and stop watching cartoons, and some of us may have just been straight up bullied and called losers. We were outcast of the social hierarchy, and if I'm being real, I think this is a big reason why power fantasy stories have seen the monumental success that they have. Wait, you're telling me this guy can beat up all the arrogant jocks and get all the chicks, and his secret OP talent is being a gamer? It's a shallow reason, but it's true. We might not want to admit it, but the viewership and sales numbers don't lie because we can't seem to stop fucking reading it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, it's about time weebs got our spotlight as the most oppressed group in the world over the current one. Gamers. The problem is that the landscape became so saturated with them that it became impossible to tell good power fantasy shows from bad power fantasy shows, because they were all bad. When the industry realized that all it took was one self-insert protagonist put in some generic fantasy world, surrounded by a bunch of cardboard cutouts that were easily mistaken for women, they decided to make a lot. Nope, keep going. Like, a little more. There we go. Time to add these shows to the list of things I'm gonna watch before Fullmetal Alchemist. It got so bad that even me, Mr. Power Fantasy Isekai Trash Man, Grant UK, got bored of it. That is, until I started hearing whispers of this new webcomic called Solo Leveling, a series that had gained immense popularity over the past few years that had put it as the 27th best manga of all time according to Mao. The Power Fantasy series to end all Power Fantasy series. And you may be thinking, what revolutionary thing did this series do that no other series before it had done to make its claim above all others? Is that it? I thought we were building up to a bigger point. Solo Leveling, originally a Korean manhwa called... You know what? I'm not even gonna try. Look, I already butchered the Chinese words in the link click video, and now you expect me to speak fluent Squid Game?
Don't you ever call me that!
Strange gates to fantasy realms gradually appear throughout our world, containing an array of powerful monsters and beings. Around the same time as this, select members of humanity gained various powers and used them to combat this ongoing threat. These people became known as hunters, and grouped themselves in different guilds to team up to assault these gates, killing the monsters and farming the resources within. Like, you know, an MMO. The hero of our story, one Sung Jin-woo, is ranked one of the weakest hunters in all of Korea, even referred to by his peers as the literal weakest hunter in the world. Basically just a little baby man.
Little baby man. Little baby man.
However, one day upon his party entering a high level dungeon by mistake, shit very much hits the fan as the monsters within them obliterate their entire party. Apart from the little baby man, of course.
Baby man.
Though he does die, he somehow managed to clear a secret set of trials within the dungeon and wakes up in a hospital bed after the incident with a unique ability to literally be able to level up. Full-blown fucking menus and inventory screens in front of him in the real world, gaining experience and skill trees and all sorts of bullshit like, you know, an MMO. And so begins the rise of Sung Jin-woo, from being a little baby man to becoming an ooh baby man. What the fuck am I doing? This may sound very similar to your typical isekai power fantasy story, and if I'm being real, You're absolutely right. The series clearly borrows a lot of elements from the genre, even if it's not technically isekai. But what I think really makes Solo Leveling work is that it takes elements from your typical OP isekai power fantasy and adds an element from your typical popular shonen anime. You know, the other most popular genre in anime and manga. Hunters are power ranked from S to E, the main character is an underdog working his way up the rankings. Unlike a lot of power fantasy isekai, Sung Jin Woo doesn't instantaneously power up. When he reawakens, he is still an E-ranked hunter. He just has the ability to grind his level up, and oh boy, does he do some grinding. Sung Jin Woo, and only Sung Jin Woo, gets access to these special dungeons with high-level bosses and rare item drops. And of course, like any true gamer, you gotta do all the optional side quests so you're stupidly overpowered for the final boss. You actually get to see his progression throughout the series. The man is constantly on the verge of death in these dungeons, but he gets rewarded by the level he gains, the weapon he acquires, and the abilities he develops. I guess you could say he was leveling up on his own. Wait a minute, that's not the title. What this means though is that it's just that much more satisfying when Sung Jin Woo goes back to the world to take on normal dungeons. Look, seeing someone almost fucking die and doing a life or death optional side dungeon several times above his level, only to go on and breeze through the main quest area to the amazement of others, struck a chord with me, alright? Because that's exactly how I play RPGs too. Yes, it's a complete wish fulfillment power fantasy, but you know what? At least it felt like he earned it. Look, I'm not going to pretend that the world isn't stupidly stacked in his favor though. He is the only hunter who was able to level up while everyone else can only remain at the power level they were given when they first became hunters. I repeat, he has the ability to power up while everyone in the world is at a fixed level cap. That's like having the ability to take a shower when everyone around you is at an anime convention. He gets so stupid. Shower OP. He gets so stupidly overleveled that he can outdo anyone in their specialized role. He's a mage, fighter, tank, assassin, healer combo, so he's basically just as toxic as Season 10 Ornn from League of Legends. But that's not even his main ability. Eventually he gains the ability to summon shadows from any monster he kills, essentially becoming a one-man army. Like, what the fuck? But it works because the world itself is set up for his success. The world is a mishmash of Sword Art Online, Darker Than Black, and One Punch Man. What I like is how modern society is built around the existence of hunters. You're not just limited to one country. A nation's entire strength is built around the strength of their hunters. S-ranked hunters are a precious resource that can dictate a country's military and political strength. Sung Jin Woo's rise isn't just something that affects the hunter's world. It's one that ripples throughout the entire world and affects the geopolitical landscape. And this just gives him more fucking moments to be badass. I don't know what to say. What I love about Solo Leveling is that it knows what it wants to be and gives you that on steroids. It ups the ante to a global scale. You've got teams from Korea, Japan, China, and of course America, who are depicted as exactly how you think Koreans would depict Americans. 69! And I think one major aspect that can't be ignored is that the art is fucking outstanding. You hear stories of mangakas working themselves to death doing weekly manga chapters, so I don't know what kind of fucking black magic the webcomic industry has cast to allow us to enjoy full colored weekly chapters that look like this. I mean, just look at this. This puts most manga to shame, but beyond that, it also uses its medium to its full advantage. Webcomics, as opposed to manga, are not separated via pages. It's a medium designed to be viewed on the phone that allows you to endlessly scroll down, almost like it's one continuous image. And what this means is that some of the most impressive moments are accentuated by these panels that seemingly never end. An epic depiction of a battlefield or action that flows seamlessly as you scroll down in a way that you just can't do with manga constrained by a 2-page spread. It can make the action easier to follow, or the scale of the battle seems so much more grand. I read all of Solo Leveling in a day. It's one of those series that was infinitely bingeable because after saying all this, I think I'm missing the biggest thing that contributes to this manhwa's success, which is nothing. You know, as I was writing this video, I really tried to rack my brain as to why Solo Leveling was so fucking fun and such a huge success. That way, I can end this video off with some cool, introspective moment that really nails down what makes this series so special above all its competition. But then I realized what it really does best is absolutely nothing new. So instead, I'm going to talk about Kitchen Nightmares. I fucking love Kitchen Nightmares, and I don't know a single person who doesn't. It's one of those shows where if it comes on or I see someone watching it, no matter what I'm doing, I'm just like, yeah, I got time to watch. And if you've never seen a single episode before, let me break it down for you. We open up to a struggling restaurant with a cocky owner who's just like, I have the greatest restaurant in the world, the food is perfect, and that's why the restaurant has put me in $90,000 of debt. In comes Gordon Ramsay, big dick energy, orders everything on the menu. Chef gets the order and is like, I'm gonna cook Chef Ramsay our signature dish. Microwaved chicken, baby. So of course, Gordon takes one bite of the chicken, calls the waitress over and is like, this chicken is rawer than my dick after... This chicken is rawer than my dick one day after not November. So he goes to the kitchen and is like, oi, how are you cooking your food? With a microwave, chef. With a microwave? Are you out of your goddamn mind? If you know Chef Ramsay is coming, why would you not cook your food on the day? Fuck, it blows my mind. So then, of course, Gordon has this inspirational talk that turns everything around. That's like, all right, shut it. I'm about to blow your minds. What if you cook the food without a microwave? So they learn to use fresh ingredients and everyone lives happily ever after. I swear, just don't Google it because the restaurant's still probably out of business. And that's Kitchen Nightmares. Oh, that was awful, but I had way too much fun recording that. My point is that I know exactly what I'm getting into. Basically, every episode has an identical, repeatable formula, but I don't care because it's so goddamn entertaining. And if a clip appears in my timeline that shows me that the food is not bussin', you bet your ass I'm gonna click on it to see if the food's not bussin'. This is how I feel with isekai and a lot of power fantasy shows. At this point, it's kind of just become my comfort food because when I look at Solo Leveling, there is not a lot different to what we usually complain about. I've seen a load of comments referring to Sung Jin-woo being like, haha, this is how Kirito's done right. And I'm just like, wait, what? The man is even more perfect and flawless than Kirito ever was. I mean, the guy's functionally in... God, I wish I could go from this to this. Man went from rice gum to full-on K-pop in the span of about 5 chapters. He literally looks like the 8th member of BTS. Smooth. So yeah, of course Kirito's gonna lose when he's up against the literal unbeatable army Sung Jin-woo has behind him. K-pop stands. Only recently has enemies been introduced that actually pose a real threat, because before that, pretty much every story arc plays out the exact same way. The shit is almost everything everyone shits on a show like Sword Art Online for. But for some reason, whenever my brain was like, man, you know what, the story's getting kinda repetitive, Sung Jin-woo would show up and be like, arise, and then the shadows would be like, Bruah! And then Sung Jin-woo would be like, shwing! And then his eyes would do the glowy thing, and then it would just start kicking ass, and then everyone else would be like, hey, isn't he meant to be an A-ranked hunter? And then my brain would be like, oh man, that was so cool. What was I talking about again? It really is just the rule of cool on crack. Its biggest strength is that it does nothing new, but what it does do is done in the best possible way you can hope for. If you have no interest in these epic power fantasy shows, then this isn't going to change your mind about them at all. But if there's just a small part of you that craves that OP protagonist beatdown, this is about as good as the genre can get. It just works for the medium it's in, and for anyone who's like, oh man, I can't wait for the anime adaptation, I have 2 words for you. CG shadows. Solo Leveling... Nope, I'm gonna let that one sink in for a little longer. Solo Leveling is not the 27th best manga of all time, it's not even close, but very few other webcomics get my adrenaline pumping quite like Solo Leveling does. This is power fantasy at its finest, which is perfect for isekai power fantasy trash like me, and even though it does fall victim to pretty much everything we complain about when it comes to those generic power fantasy stories, predictable and all, it is your definition of turn your brain off fun. Basically, what it boils down to is Sword Art Online. The cooler Sword Art Online.
I mean, that's what I call a baby man.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you again to Tales of Luminaria. Thanks again to Tales of Luminaria for sponsoring me today. And also, thank you very much to Alpha Sigma, Basil, Dysfunctional Degenerate, Elifal, Ivido, Jeff, Levados, Manapla, Payne Patchett, Pony Stark, Walto, and everyone else, my Patreon, for helping to support me for this month. I know I'm a bit behind on Hangouts, guys. Please don't kill me. So yes, I'm now setting up in my new place. Please ignore the background. It is a work in progress. But hopefully this means I have a more stable working environment at home rather than going to the office every day like a normal person. So once I get everything set up, I'll not only keep doing the videos I'm doing, but hopefully you guys should get more streams as well. That's the plan. Don't hold me on that too strictly. Anyway, that's it from me today. No further updates. I've been Gigguk, and I'll see you all next time.